The Seed of Gold award is not bestowed lightly. In fact, yours was the inaugural Seed of Gold. At the time, what did you think of the honour?
I was incredibly honoured to be bestowed or have an award bestowed on me that hadn't been awarded before, in recognition of the work that I'd put in over probably 10 years. And I'd say it wasn't only on my behalf. I accepted that award on behalf of others. Christine Hawkins particularly was Deputy Chair of the GRDC at the time, and she was an enormous support in setting up Go Grains. But it was a long path and it wasn't always easy. So to have that effort recognised was an enormous reward for me and a great honour.
You saw the need for an independent organisation to promote the nutritional benefits of grains and legumes. Why?
Going back to the mid-1990s, when this idea or the concept of Go Grains was first initiated, there was, or there still is, a lot of competition in the marketplace for nutrition. Nutrition marketing of food is a highly competitive area. Other industries had their bodies, so the meat industry was promoting nutrition, the egg industry, fruit and vegetables, dairy, all had very strong voices in the marketplace, but there was nothing for grains. So it was identified that there needed to be a consistent voice for grains. I think more importantly for grains than some of those other industries, because there are so many different grain foods, and a lot of people don't appreciate that things like bread, cereals, breakfast cereals are all made from grains, and of course pulses are even less well known, and there was no one out there. There was branded advertising saying their messages about their products, but there was no one that was delivering the overall messages about how healthy grains and legumes are. So there was a real need for the grains industry to be out there with a voice.
And this is before Go Grains was established, so what were you doing at that time? What was the connection with the grains industry for you?
At the time, I'd been working for several years for BRI Australia as their Nutrition Services Manager. So it was quite in my mandate to be looking at doing something on behalf of the industry. When the idea was floated at BRI for an organisation such as Go Grains, we took that then to GRDC, and GRDC then became the major investor.
In 2012, Go Grains became the Grains and Legumes Nutrition Council. What didn't change was the organisation's function to review science of cereals and pulses and communicate that research to consumers. So 10 years ago, what was the standard like?
The first thing that Go Grains identified as being its need was to do reviews of the literature. So pulling out of those, there was quite a number of very big population studies that were being done around the world in the United States and Europe, looking at health and nutrition, but they weren't specifically at grains. So what we did was to commission experts in their area and pull out of those big studies the information that related specifically to grains. So we were reviewing the literature to look at the relationship between grains, and specifically whole grains, and heart disease, diabetes, weight management, and later on we were looking at bowel health and allergies. So it wasn't the quality of research at the stage that was being done, but the diversity in the way that it was disseminated across the literature. So what we were doing was pulling it together so that it was identifiable for the grains industry. And then both Go Grains and also our industry partners could use that information to promote their branded products based on sound scientific evidence.
How difficult is it for grains to compete against the other food groups?
Nutrition is one of the leading factors which influences consumer food choice. So there is enormous competition in the marketplace for not only share of hearts and share of minds, but share of stomach. And it always surprises me that there is such pushback by consumers, and I think it reflects the fact that there's so much information available now on the internet particularly, not all of which is scientifically based, and of course a lot of which is not scientifically based. Unfortunately, a lot of our food choices these days are determined by celebrity status and what Jennifer Aniston or Kourtney Kardashian tends to be eating. And of course these are not scientific ways, but they are enormously influential. So I think grains don't always bear well in that sort of scenario, and it's a real shame because they really do have a good story to tell. And the correlation between eating whole grains and reduced risks of heart disease and diabetes and better weight management are well established. So we need to be encouraging people to eat more.
If you were still sitting in the CEO's chair, is there anything in particular you would like to see happen?
I think that the linkages with government are vital, and the linkages internationally. The global marketplace is so small now that the more strength that we can get by linking with other organisations, both in Australia and overseas, and then getting that through. I guess I'd also probably like to get into consumers' heads and saying, you know, why are you not wanting to eat gluten? Why are you not wanting to eat grains? Why are you wanting to eat the way people did 2,000 years ago? And some of that's being addressed now with the consumption studies and with the attitudinal studies.
Do you ever look at your award from time to time and think, yeah, that was a pretty nice part of my life being in the industry?
It was a highlight of my career because it's probably the only real award for me personally, and at the time I also considered it to be an award for Go Grains, although a lot of people said that it was a personal award because I was the face of Go Grains. But yeah, it sits in the bookcase and I look at it and I think I'm glad that I did what I did, and I'm very proud of the organisation as it is now. There are a lot of battles to be fought now and I'm very happy for someone else to be fighting them.